Hey, what up? Welcome to the Codename SISTA podcast. This is your host, Nandi. Welcome to today's episode. You know what I want to talk about today? I want to talk about these certain people on social media who want to go tit for tat with you. And it's a specific group that stands out when I say this. And they're usually males. And note, I did not say men, I said males. And they will get on social media and any other places that, because it's not just social media. I've seen this happen, okay? I've seen this happen in personal relationships. I've seen it happen even on articles and different things that are posted around the internet in the comments area. And it's just like they will go tit for tat with women and they will get excited. They will begin furiously typing. And these are for the ones that are on social media. In person, they get all heated and enraged and they start over talking you. You can't get a word in. And it's just like, where did that develop from? When did not men, let me stop, correct myself. When did males start feeling like it was like an expected thing to do? Like this was just something that was okay, like, okay, well, you're going to hear what I have to say, whether you want to hear it or not. And you know what? There's actually nothing wrong with getting your point across. There's nothing wrong with telling your side of the story, your views, how you see things, because so much of what we see in our world is subjective. That I understand. But when you start trying to force feed other people your thoughts and your opinions and you don't give them the space to voice their own, man, dude, that's a problem. And like I said, when I see that from so many, and when I think of a man, I think of someone who is calm when calm is needed. Yeah, they can get riled up, especially if you fucking with them or people they care about and stuff like that. I mean, that shit is normal. They can even have a bad day. But these right here, these are like a special breed, of male. And what really tips it over is that they actually claim to be men. The first thing, I'm a man, and it's just like, no, you're not. You might have the body of one, your organs might even be aged to the point where you're considered like a man if they're talking about gender, like man, woman, boy, girl, or something like that. But the maturity level is not that of an adult, because they're still having like temper tantrums. Like they were on the playground playing and you said it's time to go home and they don't want to go home, or like a few times, when my oldest son was younger and he decided that he want to have a temper tantrum and lay out on the floor. Of course his daddy resolved that for him, that little problem. But what we're seeing is they're not 4 and 5 years old having temper tantrums on the floor. They have the age of what would be manhood, but their minds are still in childhood and they're still having, and it almost reminds me when I see those types of interaction, it makes me wonder what type of relationship they had with their mother. If, when she said, go take out the trash, if he was like, oh, mama, if he was like, sucking his teeth or because that's what it seems like when they're going back and forth with you, over like menial things or things that you're actually saying the same thing that they're saying, but they're so emotionally caught up that they can't get it. Now, I've had that happen to me with women too, because I found that there are just some people who don't have comprehension skills. They will fly off the handle without even attempting to understand, because as far as they're concerned, they understood what you said the first time. They got it right. So it's not just them, but there are some females out there that do the same thing. But it's when you start seeing a preponderance of the same types over and over. Because at one time I was just like, God damn, did they like open a gate somewhere where all of them were locked away and they let them all out? And now they just flooding the world, America. Because I'm seeing, and maybe the whole stay at home orders and all that stuff. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why I'm seeing it so much. It's such a pattern now, because so many of those people are home, or their schedules have changed or whatever, and they've got like now more time for social media. Because I see that too. I see a lot of them who before were like kind of quiet. They're starting to take, I guess, what you could call alpha male roles on social media, where they're starting to do like live broadcasts, and they're starting to write long statuses. Most of it I can't really understand it, and I'm just being honest, because it'll start off, the first sentence might be easy to understand, but it was like the more they started to write, like they started like falling asleep, or they started drinking, so they started getting, as they got more drunk, the shit didn't make sense no more. So when you get to the end, it was just like, so what the fuck did you just say? I mean, and that's if you can get to the end, because it'll become so garbled. But my point is, we've got a lot of new alpha males who have become profound thinkers since this pandemic hit. They just, like I was talking the other day about people who smoke weed, and it's not for all people who smoke weed, but I've been coming up on a club of them as well, that all of a sudden they're like herbalists. They know about every herb out there, and it's really because they want to smoke it. So they've gone from wanting to smoke marijuana to smoking rose petals, and I mean, you name it. And then they sit there and tell you, yeah, because this is like it's a sedative, and this is a pain relieving, and just like, you do understand that burning changes the, oh, never mind. you know So when I see these males, like I said, that argue back and forth, going tit for tat, it's just like, dude, I can't do this with you. I'm not gonna do this with you. This is not that serious. You don't even know me, And then from there, it turns into like personal attacks. I've had some who have told me things like, yeah, that's one of the major reasons why we don't want nothing to do with y'all black bitches. That's why we go get white girls. Y'all wonder why we go get white girls. No, you go get a white girl because you want a white girl. Don't use the excuse of your encounter with one or two black women as the reason for why you decided that you wanted to date white girls. You have always wanted to date white girls. You're always open to it, and that's what it is. Because every black woman you come across is not that black woman. Every black woman ain't loud. Every black woman ain't angry. Every black woman ain't whatever kind of woman you say that you had. And you know what? You could have well had that type of black woman. I mean, that happens. You can have that type of white woman. It can just happen. A lot of times people pick in patterns. When I look at relationships that I've had in the past, some of them, there were prevailing themes. Like one of the major themes was emotionally unavailable. And I noticed that there was a certain time in my life where I had relationships with those type of people. I didn't always have those types of relationships, but there was a running theme at a certain point in my life where most of the men that I had relationships with were emotionally unavailable. So you have to look at yourself too. When you pick up certain people who are so detrimental to you that you're like, oh, I have to now go date a white girl, then you have to look, I mean, you chose those people, right? I mean, I know that I've said before that men pursue and women set the pace. But not all women know that they're supposed to set the pace. So even in this society, a lot of times the women, people are like, well, a woman decide right off the bat is she gonna have sex with you or whatever. A lot of our women don't have it together like that. So they end up, even them, dating these males who weren't good for them. And they might not, I mean, it's not to say that they were like, they had it together, okay? Because I mean, if they just letting other people, if you letting a man just choose you, then you probably have some voids yourself. Especially if you letting one choose you that don't have no job, no prospects for a job. He use your car while you at work. He go run with other broads. You think that you got to be going through his phone. All of this, I mean, just incredulous stuff that people do in what they call a relationship. So, I mean, the shit works both ways. Because you tell me that she bad, I mean, am I to think that that you always good? But again, my thing is the ones that, like I said, get on social media, the ones that we happen to know personally. Because I mean, I've known more than one that wants to overtalk you. I no longer have that type of relationship with those people. And that is part of the reason, because you can't get a word in. They're not interested in what you think about anything unless it benefits them and it's in line with their thinking. So you're supposed to think as they think, not as you think. Okay. So when I meet those type of people, or when I see these online, these men, these males becoming hysterical over shit that they have no control over, no power over, it's just like, dude, back up, slow your roll. I mean, what? Calm the fuck down. What are you getting so excited for? Stop having your little temper tantrums, and you might actually learn something. I mean, if you just open your mind and actually, and when they say that, and I'm laughing because I'm thinking when I said open mind, I remember this one particular guy actually told me if I wasn't so closed-minded, that I could see the shit for what it was, and he basically called me a minstrel show, and, I said I was they control me, and I'm like, no, dude, you're controlled, because you're the one sitting here trying to have an argument about politicians who don't care shit about you or me. And you have no power to decide what they do with any policies or whatever once they're in office. All of that is out of your control. Because for one, politicians don't listen to broke, powerless people. And you ain't bringing nothing to pad their pockets, so they really not interested. And then these same politicians stand on stages and they throw jabs at each other, and they keep you focused on the jab throwing while they get to skate by creating distractions where you never demand this policy or that policy because it's going to benefit the people. And I'm not here to talk politics. I've already told y'all I'm not here for the politics. There's enough people who are doing that and doing that well in podcasting. Stick to them. I'm here talking about the psychology of people. And that's why that example of politicians and their misdirections, their distractions, their smoke screens came into play, because that is psychological, to get you all emotionally roused up, to get you hating the other candidate. But at the same time, that lets them escape responsibility and accountability, because they don't have to sit there and specifically lay out for you what it is they plan to do. And you go on most of these politicians' pages and you see the same old thing. If you elect me, I'm going to bring more jobs to your community and affordable housing. And it's just like, what jobs? I mean, we got some jobs here already, but what jobs are you talking about? Because I've seen communities where they got a Dollar General store. What the fuck is that supposed to do? $1. So you put a Dollar General store in my community, and there was already a Dollar General store less than a quarter of a mile from me. And then there's another Dollar General store a quarter mile from there. In what way does that help the community? How does that change the vibe of the community? But then if I travel into town or somewhere in one of these other urban areas and stuff, you got all these nice shopping complexes and specialty restaurants and all this stuff set up. You got a Whole Foods, you got a Sprouts, you got all these places. And in my neighborhood, you put a goddamn Save a Lot or a Safe Safe One or whatever them damn Food Depot. You put a damn Food Depot in my neighborhood. You close all my home improvement stores. I don't have none of those. I don't have no Target. And then you tell me that you're going to bring jobs to my community. That's laughable. Exactly what jobs? How much are they going to pay? And who are they going to be hiring? Tell me that. Tell me exactly what businesses you plan to bring, and they're going to set up shop in my neighborhood. When you say affordable housing, affordable is subjective. So who are going to be able to afford these houses? At what price point are these houses going to be? What income level will I need to be? What other qualifications will I need in order to qualify for those houses? Because what's the point of having affordable houses if other people have to come and move into them from other areas because I live in this neighborhood, but I can't fucking afford to live in those places? And I've seen that happen where they come in and they put brand new apartments in there and they charge $1,100 and $1,200 to people who making $7.25 an hour. What fucking sense does that make? But they told you that they were going to be affordable housing. Affordable for who? For their friends, for their cronies? So let's be specific. How are you going to put this affordable housing? What laws and legislature are you planning to put in place? See, but the thing is, even with them putting that on their websites, these candidates and stuff, what good does that do you if that's not what you asked for? If that's not what you said that you needed? So once again, you're letting somebody else tell you what you need to have, what they believe you need to have. They haven't really taken the time to find out what you need to have, because one, they don't care. And then two, they're busy with the distractions. They're busy telling you how bad the other person is and why it behooves you to vote for them instead. So in a nutshell, that was psychology. Please think on what I just said. That was psychology. Politics, psychology is politics. Politics is psychology. The same when we have these males, that is psychology. These are people who don't have control in their own lives. They come on to Facebook trying to be some type of star or wherever they at, because it's not just Facebook. And like I said, even in your house, when they feel in some way threatened by who you are, when they feel like you think that you're bigger than what they are, even though they know intrinsically within themselves, they already know you are. That's why they're acting that way with you in the first place, because they're easily intimidated. They're easily threatened. And so the first thing they think about doing is the same thing that they did, that the white man did when he came in and enslaved the people who were here. They want to break you. If they can't break you, they want to kill you. And that's not to say that these dudes on social media and in your house and stuff that they automatically want to kill you. I mean, because that happens too, though. That does happen. So we can't just completely say that that's not going to happen, because that jealousy that they have for you can lead to that. It can definitely lead to that. When somebody is that envious of you, that jealous of you, what do? They start to hate you. And in hating you, they want to dispose of you. So when we have people like that in our lives, and even like I said on these, because a lot of times we think of social media and we're like, they're on another side of the screen. Ain't like they can harm me or whatever. I can say whatever the fuck I want to say. But just like you're located in the presence of other people, those people are too. And those people can be loose cannons. People who are highly emotional at every turn, especially when you see a lot of males out of pocket like that, where they're always just like japping their jaws and, like I say, furiously typing on their keyboard, that's not good. That's not a positive thing for us to see. And I know that I've seen even some men correct them, and they'll be like, hold on, brother, man. Hey, there ain't no need for that, man. Back up. And when you see a man checking them for that, and then they'll usually get pissed with the man, but they only go so far, because it's kind of a difference. That's kind of like your children. And I used to notice that with my children. If I told them to do something when they were little, they might look at me, size me up, and they might just keep on doing it. But when their daddy said stop, and he didn't have to get up, he didn't have to move from his chair, he didn't even have to change his position. It was just his tone of voice, and they would mosey on and go do what the hell that they were told to do. If I said it, I would probably say it about 2 or 3 times. And then it took for me to actually get up, and they knew that I was fixing to come for that little ass, for them to stop. But with him, it was just, that's what it was. And that's what I see with some of these guys on there. The men will come on there and check them. And when a man checks them, they quiet down, and it's like, wow. And it makes me also wonder if that, that whole missing that father figure in the household, if that plays into it. And it's not just so much of not having that father figure in the house, but it's having male models, men modeling men behavior. If that has something to do with it, if they've got more of the feminine qualities in them out, presented versus the masculine, if there's just not that balance there, And I know I'm getting this shit all garbled up, but that's what happens sometimes when I know I'm recording myself. It's just like, you know what the fuck you want to say, but it's not always coming out the right way. But what I'm saying is that they are too much of the feminine is exposed, and there's not enough balance with the masculine essence. So they come out sounding like a little bitch, and it's like, stop fucking whining, and that's why, I've said before, sometimes I just want to change their diaper, give them a bottle, and put them down for a nap, because it's just like, I know you're cranky. You tired. You just need to sleep. You're too big for a fucking crib. So I guess we're gonna just put you on a pallet on the floor or some shit. But that's what it comes across as when they do this. And like I said, I've just been noticing the pattern of it, and I've seen it increasing a whole lot since this pandemic started. And I was looking into my book, and I wrote my book just as the pandemic got underway, when I realized that we were going to be stuck close to home for a little while, that a lot of people were going to be losing jobs, and there's going to be a lot of mental health issues and stuff happening during this time. I decided to write my book, and it's titled, Hey, It's a Pandemic Out There, 31 Ideas to Reclaim Your Time. My book is still on Amazon in ebook and print. So y'all get a copy if you haven't. It's worth it to have a copy. It'll give you some ideas to help get you brainstorming. Because like I tell people, this time that we're going through right now, this time may not never come again. So use it. Get your piece of the pie right now before the shift starts, because it's coming. It's already happening, really. It's not coming. It is already happening. Get your stuff. But what I said all that to say is that maybe that has a lot to do with it. Maybe because everybody doesn't handle stress the same way. So maybe this is an expression of their stress. Even though I know this is not it for all of them, because some of them, like I said, I've had some, through the years, males that I've known, and this has been their behavior. It's just that those males weren't likely to express it a lot to strangers. And I think that's the difference. That's what I'm seeing now. Before, I'm accustomed to those types of males keeping it within the family and basically terrorizing or upsetting the balance of the family. It wasn't that they always terrorized. Some of them just, they were an upset to the balance in the household. Having them there, regardless, wasn't healthy. Whether they straight terrorized or whether they just upset the balance, it wasn't healthy having them there. But what I'm seeing now is more and more of them projecting it onto people who they don't know. Having these types of conversations with people that they don't know. Saying things that you normally don't say to people that you don't know. So I don't know what's behind the phenomenon. I just hope that even through this podcast, we're one or two of them to actually listen to it, because that's another thing. People who act that way, it's usually always the people who should be somewhere and should listen to certain things. They're not the ones to do it. It's just like racism, when they have these trainings and stuff on your job and all of that to address racism and stuff. Usually the people who need to be in there the most aren't the ones that are in there. If you notice, you'll probably see the same people in there over and over and over again. And they're not the ones who are really the problem. It's the ones who they can't never get to come unless it's mandatory. Those are the ones that are the problem, And it's the same thing when it comes to these males, because I've had some of those that act that same way, who have sat there and came out of their mouth with criticism of other males who project the very same things that they do. And I would just sit there flabbergasted. In my mouth is hanging out and hitting the floor. And it's like, wow, so you don't see yourself in that? You don't realize that you display that same damn behavior? You are that person you talking about. But they can't see that. And then they would actually turn around. I've had a couple of them, well, one of them in particular, that would actually turn around and then tell me all the ways that I am like the person that they were talking about. And I'm like, that's a fucking lie. That's you. That is you up and down. I can bring 5 people in here right now that'll testify That's you all day long. So I don't know. Maybe like I say, it's hard for them to even see themselves. Some people say, yeah, they see themselves. They just, again, it's a projection. It's a gaslighting of the other person. It's all part of that. I'm gonna make you start to doubt yourself. I'm gonna make you start to think that you are the bad person. And if I say it enough times, you'll start to question it. Even if in your mind you're like, no, that's not me. That's not me. I'm not a bad person. I don't do this to people. If somebody is constantly pounding in your head that yes you are, there could come a time where you actually start to second guess yourself. Like, well, am I? I mean, am I just too forward with people? Am I just too loud and obnoxious? And and then when they get these fake buy-ins from other people and tell you, because even such and such said that, you're this type of person and you're that type of person, like I said, your first thing when they tell you stupid shit like that should be, what made that person comfortable enough to tell you that? And then watch them squirm out of that shit. Watch them try to squirm out of that shit. So why were they comfortable enough to tell you something like? Because you see, if somebody said that to me about you, and we have this good relationship, or we supposed to be committed to each other, they wouldn't be able to tell me that, because for one, I wouldn't open that door. So when people open certain doors like that, that kind of tells you what they think about you anyway. So that's why I said, some of we be sleeping with our enemies. And we just don't call them enemies. We might say, oh, we having problems and all that. No, that's your enemy. And a lot of us are with people who we should not be with. And if you in that, just like I've said in previous episodes, if you with somebody simply to be able to stand up at 40 years down the line and say, we celebrating our 40th anniversary, knowing goddamn well that for 36 of those years, he was doing whatever the fuck he wanted to do. I mean, that makes you a hypocrite, and somebody who wasted their fucking life. He made you his last choice. He went out there and found everybody he wanted to sleep with, and he slept with them. He did everything he wanted while you set your ass at home waiting for him to come home. And then it got to the point where it became such a norm that you would even just go to bed, because you knew that he was no longer, you weren't going, he wasn't at a hospital, he wasn't at the morgue, his car didn't break down on the side of the road, the police hadn't heard from him, because those are the things that some women do, when it first starts, when the cheating and stuff starts. They call the hospital, they call the morgue, the police department, all them places, because they think, well, something had to happen to him, because otherwise he would be at home. No, the only thing happened to him is he was having orgasms. That's what was happening to him. But these women will take this shit from these men. All these years, he's choosing all these other fucking women. And then when something finally happens, either he gets too old, there is no more available pool for him to choose from, or his reputation is known to everybody, then he might decide, or he have a stroke or some shit. Then he home, and all of a sudden now he's committed to her, and she stood by him through every anytime I hear a male say that, I want to slap the fuck out of him. I really do. When I hear him say some shit about, she stood by me no matter what, she gave me the room to grow, and she was there for me, and she never gave up on me. She should have gave up on your ass a long goddamn time ago. That's what she should have did. Instead, she wasted all her life, and then she got to the point where she no longer knew that she should remove herself from the relationship. There was a time when she knew it, but as time went on, that's what happens, because even cheating is a form of abuse. And when you abuse people for a certain period of time, they form these trauma bonds with you, which makes it hard for them to leave you. And so these men, like I said, they come when they get toward the end of their damn life. That's when they want to go home. These males, they want to go home, and they want to be a husband now. All the good years are gone. His ass sickly now. He dealing with diabetes and high blood pressure, might have gout, or all kinds of other shit. And now he want to come back home. Just remember, when he come back home like that, you were his last choice. He chose everybody else before you, and he let you age alone while he went out and he lived his life. Now, if y'all both going out there and doing it, then hey, more power to you. If that's the agreement y'all got, that's the agreement y'all got. But a lot of times, that's not what it is. And that's why sometimes when I see, and there's some people I've known personally, and they celebrating like all these years, and I know that there's a whole bunch of unfaithfulness in there, and she trying to turn a blind eye, pretending like she don't know, and some of them actually know it. But the thing about that is, once you know, it ain't cheating. If she know that you doing it, it's no longer cheating. And if she stays with you, she has accepted that. She has accepted that you're going to go out there and you're going to do it. Because that's that bullshit that a lot of women been told too. That's what men do. Ain't a man in the world that don't cheat. There are men in the world that don't cheat. There are men. They exist. They are there. They are actually there. It is not in every man's nature to cheat. I don't know who came up with that. I think that's part of patriarchy. Where we're going to excuse all behaviors of men, and then if women do anything remotely similar to that, she's going to be a hoe for the rest of her life. If that ain't the crock of bullshit there, it's like, really? So what is the woman considered that he was having the affairs with? I mean, what name do we give her? But it's always the women who are mocked and demeaned and berated. When stuff like that happens. And last time I checked, it take two to goddamn tangle. He ain't having sex by himself. They call that masturbation. So he going out there having sex with somebody. And if she's a whore, he a whore too. I mean, come on, really? Call shit what it is. Fuck all this patriarchy bullshit. And I don't get down with patriarchy. I don't get down with feminism. All of that shit is part of a system of racism and enslavement. So I don't get down with it because it's not beneficial to both parties. So, and you know what? I don't have to. But I'm going to end this because, like I said, my whole thing was I was just noticing this pattern about a lot of men with loose fingers, and loose lips. And I was told from a little girl that loose lips sink ships. And I know they were talking about people who told secrets and stuff like that, who reveal, secrets. But I mean, the same can be said for males who talk too much, and for females too. Because like I said, there are females who do it. But the pattern I'm used to seeing females do it. I mean, because it just is the nature of some women to just run their goddamn mouth. Even if, like my mama used to say, even if it gets you knocked the hell out, there's some that you gonna just have to knock them the hell out. But when I start seeing males take on those traits and they're having these long-winded arguments, it's just like, wow, dude, really? Anyway, this is Nandi. Upcoming. I've got some interviews coming. I am especially excited for one that is coming, another childhood friend of mine, and we both crazy as fuck. So this should be a really good interview. He and I are supposed to record it this weekend. So that one will be, as soon as we're done with that one and I've got it edited and everything, I'm going to put that one out there. But I'm excited about it. I mentioned my book. Again, it is Hey, it's a pandemic out there. 31 ideas to reclaim your time. It is on Amazon. Author Yolanda Barnes. Y'all go ahead and pick up my book. Get y'all some ideas. Help get your brain churning so we can make some shit happen for us during this time. Don't let fear stop you. Don't let wondering who's going to get elected in November stop you. The time is right fucking now to grab hold and harness some shit and get some things underway so that when we're on the other side, no matter who it is that's sitting at that White House, no matter who is sitting at that White House, you're going to be prepared to weather it. And not just weather it, but to thrive and grow despite who that person is. And that's what I want for y'all. And that's why I wrote that book. I made it a short read. You should be able to read that book in less than an hour and a half, 2 hours max. It's good for a plane ride. Get the book, get on the plane. By the time you finish, if you're not going that far, you should be finished with the book. Those ideas, you can, like I said, you don't have to use the exact ideas I put in there, but let it help spark some in your own mind that you want to take control of. This is the time. Real estate, stocks, there's so much out there that you can invest in that could make your life easier. Businesses for people who've been wanting to do it. Hey, if you home now, out of work, this is the time to look at other ways of bringing in income. Brainstorm like the people did when we were coming up. They sold plate lunches and had rent parties and all kinds of stuff. Not saying that, those are things that you can, but I mean, hey, put your own twist on it. There is so much. Evaluate yourself. Look at your skills. Look at what you might be able to bring to the table and do that. So like I said, grab my book, let it help you get some ideas seated. And hey, you keep on listening to my podcast, okay? This is Nandi. Thank y'all for being here. You've just listened to the Code Name SISTA podcast with Nandi.